In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The Kaaba in Mecca, the most sacred site in Islam, is not just a physical structure. It serves as a spiritual and cosmic focal point for Muslims worldwide, reflecting a grand universal order. This concept resonates deeply in both the Quran and Hadith, and modern scientific perspectives further reinforce the idea that the Kaaba's centrality is aligned with the dynamics of the universe, from the smallest particles to the largest celestial bodies. In Surah Yasin, Allah says, "Each in an orbit is floating." This verse captures a profound reality that everything in the universe, whether stars, planets, or even atoms, moves in its own orbit. On a macro level, the orbits of planets, moons, and stars in the universe are reminiscent of the circular movement around the Kaaba. Just as Muslims revolve around the Kaaba in perfect harmony during their prayers, celestial bodies revolve around their centers of gravity in a coordinated and precise manner. Did you know that planets, stars, and galaxies all move in a counterclockwise direction? What's fascinating is that the same motion is mirrored in the tawaf around the Kaaba. Just as celestial bodies orbit in a counterclockwise direction, whether it's the planets revolving around the sun or galaxies spiraling around their centers, Muslims perform tawaf around the Kaaba in the same counterclockwise manner. This striking parallel reflects a deep connection between the cosmic order and this sacred act of worship, symbolizing that both the universe and human devotion revolve in harmony around a central point. Moving from the macro level of galaxies and stars to the micro level, we see similar patterns in the structure of atoms. In atomic physics, electrons revolve around the nucleus in orbits, much like planets orbit the sun. The atomic model, with a dense nucleus at the center and electrons revolving around it, mirrors the Kaaba's role as the center of human spiritual life, with people revolving around it in worship. In many ancient cultures and spiritual traditions, there is the concept of an axis mundi, a central point that connects the heavens and the earth. This axis is believed to be the world's spiritual center, the place where the divine and the material intersect. If this concept is true, it must be Kaaba. Baitul Ma'mur, also known as the frequented house, is a prototype of Kaaba, the house of Allah, and it is located outside of the human realm. It is located directly above the Kaaba in the highest heaven, the seventh heaven, and just above it is Allah's throne. This sacred and holy house is also mentioned in Surah Tur, where Allah says, "And by the Baitul Ma'mur, the house over the heavens parable to the Kaaba at Mecca, continuously visited by the angels." Now let's move forward to the mathematics of this location. Have you ever wondered why Allah, the Almighty, specifically chose Mecca as the sacred land for Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, to construct the Kaaba? What makes this location so significant, not just spiritually, but also geographically and mathematically? In Surah Al-Imran, verse 96, Allah Almighty declares, "Surely the first house of worship established for humanity is the one at Mecca, a blessed sanctuary and a guide for all people." In this verse, Allah specifically mentions the sacred city of Mecca, referred to here as Mecca. Let's break down the mathematics embedded within this verse. The verse contains 47 letters in total, and there are 27 letters before the mention of the word Mecca. When we compare the number of letters before this word to the total number of letters in the verse, the ratio we arrive at is 1.74, a value strikingly close to the golden ratio. Before we discuss the specifics of Mecca's geographical significance, it's essential to understand the golden ratio. The golden ratio, often represented by the Greek letter phi, is a number that appears in various aspects of mathematics, nature, and art. It is approximately 1.618, but it can also be represented as the ratio of two quantities, where the ratio of the larger quantity to the smaller one is the same as the ratio of their sum to the larger quantity. In simple terms, the golden ratio is a proportion that is often seen as aesthetically pleasing or harmonious. It occurs when two parts of a whole are divided in such a way that the ratio between them is the same as the ratio of the whole to the larger part. This ratio is not just a theoretical construct, but a fundamental constant that emerges in many natural and man-made phenomena, from the spirals of shells to the proportions of the Parthenon in Greece. The golden ratio represents balance, symmetry, and a sense of order in the universe. Another elegant representation of the golden ratio is found in the Fibonacci sequence, a series of numbers that begins with 0 and 1, and each subsequent number is the sum of the previous two. As the numbers in this sequence increase, the ratio between consecutive Fibonacci numbers approximates the golden ratio more and more closely. The golden ratio, represented through Fibonacci numbers, is deeply woven into both the mathematical world and the physical reality we observe. The history of the golden ratio dates back thousands of years. Ancient mathematicians and philosophers, particularly the Greeks, revered it for its aesthetic appeal. The Pythagoreans, a secretive society of mathematicians in ancient Greece, may have been among the first to explore the relationship of this ratio in geometry and music. They discovered that the golden ratio could be found in the pentagram, a five-pointed star, which they saw as a symbol of harmony and proportion. Perhaps the most prominent early exploration of the golden ratio came from Euclid, the father of geometry, in his work Elements, circa 300 BCE. He described it as the extreme and mean ratio and illustrated its use in geometry, particularly in the construction of regular pentagons. However, it was during the Renaissance that the golden ratio gained wide recognition. Artists, architects, and scholars were rediscovering the classical ideals of beauty and proportion that had been revered in ancient Greece and Rome. Luca Pacioli, an Italian mathematician, wrote a treatise titled De Divina Proportione, the Divine Proportion, in 1509, which explored the properties and applications of the golden ratio in art and architecture. His work was illustrated by none other than Leonardo da Vinci, who used the golden ratio in his own masterpieces. One of the most intriguing aspects of the golden ratio is its prevalence in nature. It is often referred to as the fingerprint of God, or a universal constant, because it appears in various natural patterns and phenomena, suggesting that nature itself is designed with this proportion in mind. The golden ratio, with its approximate value of 1.618, has long intrigued scientists and mathematicians due to its appearance across diverse fields, from biology to cosmology to human anatomy. Let's explore how the golden ratio manifests in plants, the cosmos, and the human body in greater detail. Plants are one of the most well-documented examples of how the golden ratio appears in the natural world. Their growth patterns, leaf arrangements, and even the structure of their flowers demonstrate a sophisticated use of this ratio, optimizing efficiency and aesthetics. In a sunflower, the seeds are arranged in two sets of spirals, one set winding clockwise and the other counterclockwise. The number of spirals in each direction often follows Fibonacci numbers, and the ratio of these numbers approximates the golden ratio. This arrangement allows the seeds to be packed together as efficiently as possible, maximizing the use of space in the flower's center. The arrangement of leaves around a stem, known as phyllotaxis, often follows the Fibonacci sequence, which is closely related to the golden ratio. This arrangement is not arbitrary. It helps plants maximize sunlight exposure and minimize the shadow cast by other leaves, improving the efficiency of photosynthesis. The number of petals in many flowers is often a Fibonacci number. For instance, lilies have 3 petals, buttercups have 5 petals, daisies can have 34, 55, or even 89 petals, all Fibonacci numbers. Plant growth follows the golden ratio in the way new branches, leaves, and flowers form. The famous Fibonacci sequence appears in the branching pattern of trees, where the growth of new branches reflects the sequence. A single trunk splits into two main branches, which then split into three smaller branches, and so on, following Fibonacci proportions. The golden ratio's presence extends far beyond Earth's natural environment into the vast reaches of space. In the structures of galaxies, planetary orbits, and even black holes, the same mathematical harmony that governs the growth of plants appears in the cosmos. One of the most stunning examples of the golden ratio in the cosmos is the structure of spiral galaxies. Many galaxies, including our own Milky Way, form spiral patterns that closely resemble a logarithmic spiral, a shape directly related to the golden ratio. In this pattern, the arms of the galaxy rotate outward from the center while maintaining a consistent angle, creating a visually harmonious and balanced structure. The golden ratio has been found in the spacing and orbital patterns of planets, particularly in our solar system. The distances between planets from the Sun often approximate the golden ratio. Johannes Kepler, one of the pioneers of modern astronomy, was fascinated by the idea that planetary orbits might follow geometric principles, and his research suggested that the ratios between the distances of planets adhered to the principles of harmonic ratios, including the golden ratio. This proportionality helps explain why planets remain in stable orbits, with their gravitational interactions following a pattern that minimizes chaos and maintains balance in the solar system. In recent studies of black holes, particularly regarding the structure of their event horizons, scientists have discovered intriguing relationships with the golden ratio. The event horizon, the boundary around a black hole beyond which nothing, not even light, can escape, may exhibit proportions that correspond to the golden ratio. The dynamics of black hole formation, their growth, and the patterns of gravitational waves emitted when two black holes collide may also reflect the influence of the golden ratio. Some cosmologists have proposed that the golden ratio might be embedded in the fabric of space-time itself. For instance, Max Tegmark, a physicist at MIT, has suggested that the fundamental constants governing the universe, such as the speed of light or the gravitational constant, may be related to the golden ratio in ways we have yet to fully understand. The proportions of the human body also adhere to the golden ratio. Ancient Greek sculptors, such as Polykleitos, used the golden ratio when designing their sculptures to achieve what they considered the perfect human form. The ancient canon of beauty often involved the division of the body into sections that reflected it. Examples of the golden ratio in the human body include the ratio of the length of the forearm to the hand, the ratio of the distance from the navel to the floor compared to the height of the body, the ratio of the length of each finger bone to the next. The bones in the human hand follow the Fibonacci sequence. The golden ratio also appears in the proportions of the human torso, where the ratio of the length of the head to the length of the torso, or the length of the upper arm to the forearm, approaches 1.618. This proportionality contributes to the perceived symmetry and balance of the human form. The human heart, one of the most vital organs, also exhibits structures that align with the golden ratio. The geometry of the heart's ventricles and the spiraling patterns of the cardiac muscle fibers mirror the logarithmic spirals seen in nature, which are governed by the golden ratio. The heart's structure is optimized to pump blood efficiently throughout the body, using these natural proportions. Moreover, the intervals between heartbeats during normal sinus rhythm follow a fractal pattern, which is also connected to the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. This fractal nature of the heartbeat helps the body maintain homeostasis and efficient blood circulation. Moreover, the ratio of the length of a DNA molecule's double helix to its width is approximately 1.618. The golden ratio also manifests in the realm of music. The frequencies of musical notes, the structure of scales, and the spacing of harmonics all exhibit patterns that follow the ratio. Composers like Johann Sebastian Bach and Ludwig van Beethoven incorporated these principles into their music to create compositions that resonate on a deep, almost mathematical level with listeners. By now, you must be aware of the significance of this ratio. It serves as a reminder that mathematics is not just a tool for understanding the world. It is a window into the very essence of reality itself. Now let's discuss the geography of Mecca, the golden mean point of the Earth. Mecca, positioned at approximately 21.42 degrees north latitude and 39.82 degrees east longitude, sits at an intriguing intersection between geography and spirituality. Muslims face Mecca in their prayers as a demonstration of unity and alignment with a sacred location. The pilgrimage, or Hajj, performed annually, brings Muslims from diverse backgrounds together in one shared purpose, further emphasizing Mecca's role as a universal center. Interestingly, Mecca's geographical coordinates open up the possibility that it represents not only a spiritual center, but also a mathematical one, particularly when viewed in relation to Earth's dimensions. The Earth is vast, with its surface divided into continents, oceans, and regions. However, if we were to consider the Earth as a geometric body, could Mecca occupy a point of balance? Many have speculated that Mecca's location corresponds to the golden mean of the Earth, a notion that suggests the city lies at a perfect proportional distance between the Earth's extremities. This idea proposes that Mecca is not just central to the Muslim world, but to the entire world itself, mathematically aligned with the principles of the golden ratio. This is where the spiritual significance of Mecca merges with the mathematical beauty of nature's most harmonious proportion. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for Mecca's alignment with the golden ratio comes from the proportions between the Earth's poles and Mecca's location. If we think of the Earth in terms of distances from the North Pole to the South Pole, Mecca's position is remarkably close to what we would expect for a golden ratio point. The key aspect of this ratio is the way it can be expressed as a proportion. The golden ratio often appears when comparing distances or parts of a whole. For example, let's examine the distance between Mecca and the North Pole and South Pole. By comparing these distances, we can identify how they align with this ratio. The distance from Mecca to the North Pole is approximately 7,624 kilometers, and the distance from Mecca to the South Pole is approximately 12,390 kilometers. Calculating the ratio between these two distances yields a value close to the golden ratio. Specifically, the ratio of the distance from Mecca to the North Pole compared to the South Pole is 1.625, which is approximately equal to 1.618. Similarly, when we calculate the inverse ratio, dividing the distance to the South Pole by the distance to the North Pole, we get approximately 0.615, which is the reciprocal of the golden ratio. This suggests that Mecca divides the planet's northern and southern hemispheres in a way that reflects the same proportions found in the golden ratio. This proportion can be seen as symbolic of balance. The North and South Poles represent the extremities of the Earth's axis, while Mecca, positioned between them, could be seen as a harmonious center, a physical manifestation of the equilibrium that this ratio embodies. Another interesting aspect of Mecca's location is how it relates to the Earth's circumference. The Earth is not a perfect sphere, but rather an oblate spheroid, meaning its circumference varies depending on where you measure it. The most common measurement is around the equator, where the Earth's circumference is about 40,075 kilometers. This baseline distance will help us understand Mecca's geographical alignment. The formula to find the circumference at any latitude is shown on screen. So, the Earth's circumference at Mecca's latitude is 37,268 kilometers. When the circumference of the Earth at Mecca's latitude is compared to the total circumference of the Earth at the equator, we again find a proportional relationship that resonates with the golden ratio. This alignment suggests that Mecca's location on the Earth's surface is not random, but instead part of a cosmic design, a point of balance in the geometry of the Earth. To further explore Mecca's mathematical significance, we need to consider its longitude and the elongation of Mecca from both the 0-degree meridian and the 180-degree meridian. A meridian is an imaginary line that runs from the North Pole to the South Pole, connecting points of the same longitude. These lines are used to measure the geographic location east and west of the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees. Mecca's longitude is approximately 39.82 degrees east. The western elongation is the distance from Mecca to the 180-degree meridian, the opposite side of the world, while the eastern elongation is the distance from Mecca to the 0-degree meridian, which runs through Greenwich, England. The distance from Mecca to 0-degree meridian is approximately 13,320 kilometers, and the distance from Mecca to 180-degree meridian is approximately 15,600 kilometers. Now, the ratio of the western elongation to the eastern elongation is 1.17. This ratio is surprisingly close to 1.62, which is again related to a harmonic proportion akin to the golden ratio. Once again, we see that Mecca's position mirrors the harmonious proportions found in the golden ratio, reinforcing the idea that this city occupies a central role in both the spiritual and mathematical structure of the Earth. This remarkable alignment cannot be dismissed as mere coincidence. It goes beyond mathematical curiosity and finds validation in the Quran itself. In Surah Al-Imran, verse 96, Allah Almighty declares, "Surely the first house of worship established for humanity is the one at Mecca, a blessed sanctuary and a guide for all people." In this verse, Allah specifically mentions the sacred city of Mecca, referred to here as Mecca. This holy city, central to Islam, is not only spiritually significant, but, as we've explored, holds mathematical importance as well. Let's break down the mathematics embedded within this verse. The verse contains 47 letters in total, and there are 27 letters before the mention of the word Mecca. When we compare the number of letters before this word to the total number of letters in the verse, the ratio we arrive at is approximately 1.74, a value strikingly close to the golden ratio. This alignment between the verse's structure and the golden ratio further strengthens the theory that the Kaaba, located in Mecca, corresponds to the golden mean of the Earth. The Kaaba, as the first house of worship, not only symbolizes spiritual centrality, but in a subtle and profound way also reflects a mathematical harmony built into the very fabric of the universe. Through the mathematical analysis of Mecca's geographic position, distances to the poles, and elongations, it is evident that Mecca holds a central position that can be linked to several key mathematical proportions, including the golden ratio. The distances calculated, the ratios derived, and the unique positioning of Mecca all suggest that it may indeed be seen as a symbolic center, aligning with the concept of the golden mean in both geometrical and spiritual terms. While these findings are fascinating, they also reflect the intricate design of the universe, where natural patterns and mathematical principles intersect. Mecca, as the site of the Kaaba, remains a point of spiritual and physical significance, embodying the balance and harmony that the golden ratio represents. Thus, from both a mathematical and spiritual perspective, Mecca can indeed be seen as the golden mean of the Earth, harmonizing the forces of the cosmos with the geometry of the Earth.